Hello, welcome back to CinemaBurger. I'm Scott Berger, and I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. Today we conclude our Fast and the Furious series with a couple of things here. We're going to talk a little bit about the spin-off movie Hobbs and Shaw, the Netflix cartoon Fast and the Furious Spy Racers, and I will talk about the trailer for Fast 9. As I've stated at the beginning of this series, I did a written review for Hobbs and Shaw, so I'll just talk about a couple of things that I didn't in the written review. In terms of character development, we learn more about Shaw's family. We get introduced to Shaw's sister, played by Vanessa Kirby, and see that she's a MI6 agent. And we get introduced to Hobbs' family in Samoa. And we learn that Hobbs' father was a criminal and has been missing for years on end. Idris Elba plays the villain Brixton, who was responsible for Deckard Shaw's blacklisted career. We originally thought it was Cypher that had something to do with it, but it turns out it was Brixton and the tech think tank Etion. Now, Brixton is genetically modified. He has some AI in his brain that lets him predict people's fighting techniques, so we basically have superheroes in the Fast and the Furious universe. And in terms of Hobbs and Shaw not having any street racing scenes, this gets a pass just because it's a spin-off movie and it involves two characters, Hobbs and Shaw, who are both mercenaries slash US cops. In terms of plausibility of scenes, we have both Hobbs and Shaw jumping out of windows and landing and surviving. We have a scene where it takes about 4 cars to pull down a helicopter that Brixton is flying in. Now, Hobbs and Shaw are latched onto the helicopter. They have a chain attached to it, and the helicopter is still pulling up the cars, so they have the rest of Hobbs' family drive up and attach to the cars. So once 2 cars are attached, it's still not heavy enough, so they get 2 more. Now, to pull down the helicopter, each car uses its NOS, and they actually zoom in on the car as the NOS goes into the fuel intake and fires. Now, we haven't seen that since probably Too Fast, Too Furious. Now, in terms of all 4 cars using their NOS at once, they would set the cars behind them on fire. Now, in the final showdown of the movie, Hobbs and Shaw crash Brixton's helicopter, and all of them are in this waterfall area. Now, as they're fighting each other, Brixton can still predict both their moves, so he's still beating them up. Now, to finally stop this advanced computer technology, all it takes is 2 people attacking 1 person at the same time to defeat this. Now, that's a little silly because this is so advanced. Why wouldn't this technology be able to predict 2 people's attacks at once rather than just 1 at a time? It's a little silly, I think. Now, the head of Etion is some unknown person using a voice modulator, so we don't know who this person is, whether they're male or female. Now, at the end of the movie, the voice of Etion talks to both Hobbs and Shaw, and the voice says that you may not remember me, Hobbs, but I'm from your past. So that brings up some interesting ideas of who it might be. Could it be Hobbs' father, who's been a criminal and missing for 20 years? Or could it be Cypher? We have no idea who it is, but we can only speculate, and that's actually interesting because I'm really interested in figuring out who the head of Etion is. Now, there is going to be a sequel to Hobbs and Shaw, so maybe we'll find out in that movie. Now, overall, Hobbs and Shaw shows that both people are fun to work with. They have great chemistry, like I mentioned in the written review. That it makes out Deckard Shaw to be a really nice guy with a family, and that he has family values as well. Now, he still killed Han, but we keep forgetting that. So both Hobbs and Shaw saved the world from Etion, and the virus that was about to get out in the world is secure. Now, in 2019 as well, we got a 8-episode cartoon series called Fast and the Furious Spy Racers. It was produced and made by Netflix, and it does feature Vin Diesel in it. Now, the Mr. Nobody government group recruits Dom's cousin, Tony Toretto, and a group of his friends to go on missions to stop technology-based criminals. Now, the show is fun for kids and stuff, and Vin Diesel is the voice of Dominic Toretto in the first and last episode. Now, the animation overall is fine, but when you see Dominic Toretto in this animation, he looks so weird and out of place that he looks like a Fortnite character. It's actually really cringy. But the show ends up leading up to one of Tony Toretto's friends having to deal with the fact that his parents created some hacking technology that can also control all technology at once. And it's buried in the desert because that's the best place to keep technology, is buried in the desert in what looks like some sort of Indiana Jones style tomb. Now, it turns out that this hacking device is a mask, and it kind of reminds me of Tron. Now, overall, Fast and the Furious Spy Racers doesn't advance the overall plot, really. It's kind of like a side adventure, just like Hobbs and Shaw. And I don't know if there's going to be a second season. But I feel like little kids won't know who these characters are because they're probably too young to watch the Fast and the Furious series anyway. So maybe this cartoon will get kids into Fast and the Furious? I don't know. Now, I'm about to talk about the trailer for Fast and the Furious 9. It was supposed to come out this past April of 2020, but due to COVID-19, it's now being released in April of 2021. Now, I'm going to talk about the trailer, and it will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to hear them, stop the video now. So the Fast 9 trailer begins with Dom and Letty living on a farm with their son Brian. The voiceover is Dom talking about how he used to live his life a quarter mile at a time, and now that he's a father, things are different. Letty comes into their room as their son is going to sleep and gives her son the cross necklace and says it's for protection from what's coming. Then we hear Dom talk about that no one can outrun their past and mine is catching up to me. It turns out that Dom has a younger brother, Jacob, played by John Cena. He's a master criminal, thief, and assassin, and a precision driver, and Cypher has hired Dom's brother to take him and his team out. Now, in the past 8 movies, why wouldn't Dom or Mia mention that they had a brother? Maybe it's a half-brother or something, but also they brought Mia back because it's a Toretto family matter, but I guess Brian is at home with their son. Now, we see some action scenes in the trailer, and they are beyond ridiculous. We see a 4-trailer truck get flipped over. We see Jacob drive off a cliff as Cypher catches his car in a magnet plane. And then we see someone drive off on a bridge as it's falling down like in Indiana Jones. And then later on, to catch Jacob, Dom drives off the broken bridge and catches the under part of his car on a chain and literally swings across from one mountain to another, like Indiana Jones. I mean, we might as well just go to space next. We also finally see some of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift characters back. We see Sean Boswell and another one of the crew as they're strapping a literal rocket to a car. I don't see the purpose of that unless it's to go to space, like I said. So at the end of the trailer, we see Letty walking into this base where Dom and everyone else is, and we see Han show up. Yes, Han is alive. I don't know how he's alive, because he was clearly dead in that race scene in Tokyo Drift. And it's different because when Letty was killed, it was off screen, so it's believable that she would come back. We see Han die in 3 separate movies. We see him die in the original Tokyo Drift scene. We see him die at the end of Fast and the Furious 6, where it's revealed that Deckard Shaw killed him. And then we see that same scene again in Furious 7. So how are they going to explain that Han is alive? The only way I can think of Han surviving is that in Tokyo Drift, since he was stealing from DK, he always had to look over his shoulder and think that DK would eventually find out. So maybe he kept a dummy of himself in his car at all times, so if he would have to fake his death, that he could. So maybe he had it in the passenger seat under something and put it in the seat before the car exploded in Tokyo Drift. That's the only explanation I can think of, but I'm sure the reasoning behind him being alive is going to be ridiculous, and I can't wait to find out what it is. Now, I think the reason they brought Han back from the dead was to justify Deckard Shaw showing up in all these sequels, and that Dom and the team accept him as family, and that Deckard Shaw can be forgiven for not actually killing Han, because everyone was so quick to forgive him in the first place. Now, after Fate of the Furious came out, there was a hashtag on Twitter trending, Justice for Han, acknowledging that it was bullshit that everyone forgave Deckard Shaw for killing Han so easily. And at the end of the Fast 9 trailer, it says justice is coming as we see Han driving his signature orange car. Now, going back to Hobbs and Shaw, we hear the Eteon voice talking, and it kind of sounds like John Cena talking, so maybe Jacob is behind Eteon. Hopefully we find out. Alright, so that was all the spin-offs and future sequels for Fast and the Furious right now. There is a 10th movie in development, as well as a Hobbs and Shaw sequel and a possible all-female spin-off of Fast and the Furious. So that'll be a total of about 13 movies and a cartoon series. So this series has definitely started out pretty small and escalated into such ridiculous action movie settings that it's amazing that this series has been going on for so long. I'm Scott Berger, and this has been the Fast and the Furious series, a CinemaBurger review. I'll see you next time.